we have 6 elements that we're going to be studying today. So what I want you to do is to make 6 boxes in your sheet. Okay, this has 6. I'll show you the boxes one by one. Okay, and I'll give you 2 minutes for you to draw the boxes. Okay, so you can start drawing. We need 6 boxes. When you're done, I want someone to unmute yourself and tell me, or you can even put it in the chat box if it's comfortable. Okay, 6 boxes, preferably with a label on top. Doesn't need to be perfect, guys. Just get the boxes done. Okay, are you done? Is someone, did they unmute yourself?
Done.
Okay, great. Fine. Now I'm going to start with one box. If you haven't finished the 6 boxes, it's all right. Just finish at least 2 boxes so we can start right away. Okay, so who's that? Please mute yourself, guys.
Yeah,
It becomes disturbing for the others. Please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, great. All right, the others, just finish one box at least. Okay, we'll do. The first one that we'll be doing is line. Okay, there is somebody who is not muted. Please mute yourself. Right. Yeah, I've muted them. Okay, so the first element that we're going to do now is called line. Okay, so line is the first basic element in a design. Okay, a line is basically the outline or the entire overall picture of your artwork. Okay, so let's put a point. It is the outline of a drawing. Okay, so why is this outline very important? The outline is important so that you know where the picture starts and where it ends. Okay, it sounds very basic when I say it, but if you mess up the outline, if something goes wrong with the outline, which is the most basic thing, then your entire artwork will get disturbed. Okay, so when we are looking at lines in general, there are different types of lines, okay, which will make up a drawing. Okay, you can have horizontal lines, you can have vertical lines, you can have diagonal lines. Okay, and you can have either, these are straight lines, right? You can also have curved lines like this, or you can have broken line like that, or you can have a dotted line, and there are so many different types. Okay, all of these different types of lines will come together to make an outline for your artwork. Okay, there are no details that will be added when we are talking about line. Okay, you won't be talking about what dimension it is, you won't be talking about shadows, nothing. It is simply just the outline, simple as that. Okay, it's almost like a stencil. So those of you who are used to using stencil in your painting and all, no, you know that it's just the outline which is cut out, and based on that you will be painting, correct? So that is what outline is. It is basically the stencil of your work. Okay, so I'm going to put one rough picture over here to depict that art is done only with lines. Okay, I'm going to take a leaf, for example. Let's just draw the outline of the leaf. You have the leaf shape like that, and the leaf has a stalk. That's it. That is the outline of the leaf. I won't put any lines inside it. I will not, put any more details on this. It is just the outline or the stencil. Okay, based on this, we will be learning different techniques and we will do an entire artwork using just lines, and we'll do this tomorrow. Okay, so we're done with line. Now we're going to move on to the next element. Okay, I want you guys to put it in the chat box that you got what line is and you've made note of what we're doing here. Okay, trust me, this will be very useful for you towards the end of the entire workshop. Okay, so we finished the first one, which is outline or stencil, that is line. Okay, I need a confirmation from you guys that you're understanding what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Understood,
thank you,
ma'am.
Kushi. Yeah, thank you so much. We'll move on to this next one. Thank you, Rishita. The second one, the next element that we're going to look at is shape. Okay, so we all know what shape is. Thank you, Sudikshna. We know what shape is. Shape is a closed space. So if you see over here in this element, I left it open. I didn't need to put any details in it, so I left it open and it's okay. But whereas in shape, you put all the lines, but it makes a closed space completely. Okay, so when I make a closed space, instantly it becomes two-dimensional, right? So all this is one dimension. Okay, but in shape, it is a two-dimension. What does that mean? That means you have a closed space that depicts your artwork. Okay, so now we've seen the stencil. Okay, and we've understood what line is. Now for shape, it is basically like a shadow. So if I have some artwork in my head, okay, I'm going to draw an apple. The outline of the apple is going to be the line, but the shadow of the apple, if I put light from one side and I look at the shadow of that apple, that is going to give me the shape, which is two-dimensional. Okay, so closed space, or I'm going to write over here, shadow. So the shadow of your piece of work is going to be in shape. Okay, we have different types of shapes. You've got geometric shapes, which you all would have drawn in school. Okay, so we've got the basic square, circle, triangle, and so on. These are geometric shapes. You can write them if you want. Okay, did someone unmute yourself again?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. All right. So let's get back to shape. So we've got two different kinds. We've got one is geometric, okay, and then we've got another set of shapes which are different. Okay, they are not perfect like these. Okay, these have a particular angle that you have to draw them in. Particular number of lines is required. Okay, when you have a shape that does not come in this category, that is going to look something like this. It's going to look something like that, or maybe a cloud. Okay, so these kind of shapes which do not come under this category, they are called organic shapes. Okay, so since we're learning all of the names and terminologies, this is very important for you to know when we continue in the workshop. Okay, so make sure you write all of this down. Shape is a closed space, which is a shadow or a two-dimension of an artwork. We have two types. We have geometric and we have organic. Okay, so now if I want to represent this line as a shape, what am I going to do? It is a shadow, remember? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that it is a closed shape, first of all. So let me just draw the leaf once again. I'm going to draw the stalk once again. Okay, but this time, this one is a shadow. So I'm going to shade the entire thing to signify that it is a closed space. This color is within the shape. Why? Because it is a shadow of that particular artwork. Okay, you don't need to physically close it. You just need to uh, show some identification that it is a closed space. Okay, so now we're done with element number 2. Okay, again, I'm going to ask you for confirmation if you got this. If you did, then we'll move on to the next element.
Yeah, got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. All right, so now we'll move on to the third element. Can you guys see the screen?
Ma'am, it's not clear.
Yes,
No.
ma'am.
How about now?
Now
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
okay. Now it's okay.
Okay, great. So now we're looking at the third element, which is form. Okay, so now we've done 1 dimension, we've done 2 dimension. Now the next thing that we have is 3 dimension, obviously. Okay, so we're building the same artwork in different steps by adding different elements. So the third element is form, which is nothing but a 3 dimension. It's a 3-dimensional representation of the same. So similarly, you've got the same thing. You've got geometric and you've got organic over here also. Okay, for example, if I have a square, the 3D of this square is going to be a cube, right? So roughly a cube. So all those kind of shapes are again geometric forms. Okay, don't get confused between this and this. Okay, we're talking about 3D here and 2D here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now we also have organic, the same as we had in shape. Okay, so organic is simply any other shape, any other is going to be organic. So if this cloud had some shadows, or maybe I'm showing the side view of the cloud, then that becomes a form representation. Okay, so we see many aspects of the art piece. You're able to look at different things at the same time. Okay, for some other examples for organic will be drawing of people. When you draw people, you don't have fixed shapes, right? You just adjust the shape depending on how the person looks. Okay, same with buildings. There's no fixed lines that you will draw. More or less, buildings like the ones that you have, the tall mall ones, those are straight geometric ones. Okay, but when you have monuments like Taj Mahal, for example, those are organic. Okay, so now let's go back to the leaf. We'll draw the leaf, but with a form representation. Okay, how do we do that? The first thing that we do is draw the outline. Okay, so I have the outline of the leaf that is done. So what's next? Now I know that I need to give it a 3-dimension. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it look like there is some light source from this direction. So where will the shadow of this thing fall? This side, right? So here is going to be, it's not shadow exactly, it's another side will be seen on this side. Okay, so I'm going to represent that as a thick line to show that this side is thicker than that side. Okay, if you start with some other shape, you can adjust with whatever line, shape, and form that you think is proper. Okay, so now we're done with form as well. Okay, so let me just put a point there. Geometric, organic, and we've got a shadow. Okay, so out of 6, we have finished 3 elements of designs. Okay, now we'll move on to the next one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Next one is, thank you. The 4th one is color. Okay, this is the most exciting element of all of them. Okay, because all of this requires drawing. But when you think of color, you think so many different things that is involved in this. Color, obviously, we know what color is, so I'm not even going to explain. Okay, for the older crowd, we will define color as the wavelength of light. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a few terms that you might want to get familiar with. Okay, so before that, color basically is whatever you fill that particular shape or form with. Okay, so now I'm going to draw the leaf once again to show you. Okay, and instead of doing the shadow, I'm going to add some color to it. Okay, so now I'm using a brush pen and I'm filling it. I'm not bothered about where the brightness is. I'm not bothered about where the shadow is. I'm not bothered about anything. I'm just filling it up. That's it. Okay, so that is color representation of the same thing that we've seen. Okay, I hope it's visible. All right, so I'm just going to give you a few terms and I want you to write them here. Okay, towards the end of the workshop, you will be able to define all of this. Okay, we'll do a revision on that day. Okay, so the first word that I want you to learn is hue. Hue means the name of the color. Okay, so this is red, right? So red is its hue. Okay, similarly, this is green. So green is its hue. This is black. Black is its hue, like that. Okay, so we've been saying color, color all this while, but hue is the technical word for the name of that particular color. Okay, so now what is the meaning of value? Okay, value indicates how bright or how dark a color is. Okay, so let me give you an example of bright and dark. So now we've got, let's just consider this to be one value of green. Okay, so the hue is green and the value that we have in this one is bright, whereas the value over here is dark. Okay, so there are other terms. For example, you've got tones, you've got shades, and so on. Okay, these I'll show you when we get to the day where we're discussing color. Okay, this is the simplest but most exciting element of design, and we've covered that as well. Okay, so we've covered 4 elements already. We've got line, shape, form, and color. Okay, so the next one, we'll just quickly do the last 2 ones, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so we've learned what is color and value. Now imagine you have to put these two together. If you take a leaf, if you draw like a very nice drawing of the leaf, you have to pay attention to a lot of details. Is the leaf smooth? Is it rough? Is it bumpy? What is it? That is very important when you're defining some artwork, correct? If you want it extremely detailed. Okay, so the next element that we're going to look at is texture. The texture of that artwork is very important for us to know for detailing purpose. Okay, for extreme amount of detailing. If you've seen hyper realistic drawings, you will know that they give extreme importance to the texture and detailing. Okay, if you don't know what is hyper realistic, today you will go and find out. Okay, just Google it and see what is hyper realistic drawings, and trust me, you will really be happy that you searched it. Okay, so what exactly is texture? It is the appearance of the surface. How does the surface look? Is it rough or is it smooth? Okay. Is it silky? Is there fur? Is it furry? Okay, all those details will come in texture. So for this leaf, I cannot show you texture that easily, okay, because it takes a good amount of time and we don't have that kind of time for this workshop. So when we do texture, that day I'll go into the detail, okay. For now, I'm simply going to put some other texture onto the leaf so that you can remember what is it that we're doing. Okay, so right now, I don't have a color pen with me. You know what? I'll just do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a base color with a highlighter. Literally, whatever is around me, I'm using. So you don't have to worry about your requirements and all that. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to assume that this thing has a bumpy kind of an appearance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some markings in such a way that you can almost not see that lighter color at the bottom. Okay. So there are different ways that you can do textures, but we won't be getting into that now. Today is only a basic introduction for you to understand all that we will be doing for the next 5 days. Okay, so we're done with texture. We're done with 5 of the elements. We have only 1 more to go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to look at the 6th and final one. I hope it doesn't fall off. This final one, the 6th one is space. Space is the last element that we have. Now, what is space? Space is obviously the area in which your artwork is going to be. Obvious enough, right? So now, why do we need to understand space? We need to understand space because when you know space, you will know how to adjust all the elements that we have learned so far. If you put too many things in your space, then it's going to look crowded. Okay, if you put only 1 or 2, it's going to look empty. Okay, if you're going to add everything on one end of the area and the other end is free, okay, that also is going to look odd because there won't be any balance. Okay, so that is why we need to be very mindful of the space that we'll be using for art. So space is nothing but the area. Okay, so now this area which has your artwork will have 2 things. One is the element itself. The other one is every space where there is no element. Okay, let me explain. So let me just imagine that this box is the area of my artwork. Okay, then just imagine you have a small canvas inside which you're drawing. And I'm going to be drawing 2 leaves. Okay, so now let's just say I'm going to take shape. Okay, so if shape is going to be the element that I put, I'm just going to draw the 2D version of the leaves. Okay, I try to balance it inside the closed space, that is the area. This is the entire area. Okay, so now let's just assume that this thing is touching the apex. Okay, the box in the apex is completely filled. These 2 are my elements. In this case, it is shape. Okay, but what about the space that is there which doesn't have any element. Okay, all that I'm doing in blue is the space which does not have any element in it. Okay, so we're almost done for this session. So before we close off, let me just finish this and we'll be done for today. Okay, so the blue part that I have shaded is going to be called as the negative space. Why is it called negative space? Because there is no element in it. It is empty. Therefore, it is negative space. But using this negative space, a lot of people have done lots of artwork. Okay. And how have they done it? We'll learn to do that when we do space. On that day, we'll focus on negative space. Okay. So that is all of our elements for today. Okay. So we're actually done with all of the elements. So now I'm going to tell you what you need to do. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of pages. Just hold on, I'm going to take this off. Okay, so in the next sheet, I want you to draw 2 lines like this, and I want you to write this heading. Element 1, line. Leave this page blank. Okay, in the next page, you're going to write line, practice page. And you're going to leave this also blank. Okay, ignore this line, we'll do it later. You're going to leave this blank. Then, third page, you're going to draw a border and leave it blank. No heading, nothing. Okay, so you're going to do this for line, you're going to do this for shape, and you're going to do this for form. Okay, totally 9 pages need to be prepared in this way. Okay, let me show you one more time what is needed. Okay, so immediately after drawing all of the basics that we did today, the next page, you will write element 1, line. Okay, and here you'll leave it blank. Tomorrow we'll be filling this up. Okay, in the next page, I want you to write line, practice page, and leave this blank. Now the third page is going to be completely blank with just a border. Okay, so similarly, you will do this for element 2, shape. Next, you will have shape, practice page, leave that empty. Okay, then you will have a completely empty page, which will have nothing but the border. Same way, element 3, form. Okay, form, practice page, and a blank. That is it. So 9 pages I want you to prepare. Okay, this is going to help you work a lot faster when we start with each of the elements. Okay, so the work for today is done. I've done with a basic introduction of all of the elements that we'll deal in this workshop. You should know that there are a lot more elements of design. These are just the basic 6. Okay, so after the workshop, if you're interested, you can always go back and search what are the different elements of design. Okay, in case you want to learn on your own, or if you want to continue this workshop later on a regular basis, you can always let me know. Okay, this session has already been recorded, so I'll be uploading it in the drive within 1 hour. Okay, and those of you who came late, those of you whose connection keep getting cut, and if you want to see this once again, then I will send you a link to this particular video. Okay, so that is it for today. You have any questions, you have any doubts, you can ask me right now. If you want to show me what is it that you've done today, all of the writing, all of the drawing, if you understood, if you liked it, okay, you have to just tell me the feedback for today, either now, or you can do it later in WhatsApp also. Your wish. Okay, so we have 3 more minutes for this meeting to end. If you guys have anything to say, if you want to
Oh, ma'am.
show me something. Yeah. Who was that? All right. Okay, guys, we're done for today. I'll pause the recording now.